We'll start with Susan Slusser.
Hi, Bob. There have been a few playoff disappointments here over the years. Could you describe the emotions, both for you and the team, upon advancing, especially after a close, tense, back and forth game and series like that?
Yeah, I mean, not everybody's been part of all that. So, we've had a couple of tough ones in the last 2 years, but, the goal this year was try to get to originally was win the division, try to get, the first round off and then get to a series. So we got to a series, lost the first game and really responded well. So it was rewarding. Obviously we had to do a lot. I woke up this morning feeling like this is going to be a hard game, and it was a hard game. We had to use a lot of guys and had to make some uncomfortable decisions at times, but man, some guys really responded. So they're having a good time in there, as they should.
You guys can't have champagne celebrations. How are they celebrating right now? What's it like in there?
Non-champagne. So they're not spraying anything around or doing anything like that. We're doing what we've done all year, and that's following protocol.
Martin Gallegos.
Hey, Bob, what can you say about Hendricks bouncing back like that after yesterday, and just the bullpen as a whole, their effort in the 9 innings?
Yeah, bullpen, starters, everybody. So, I wasn't sure what I was going to do. I talked to him before the game. He felt okay. I don't ever want anybody to be put in a position to get hurt. So as it went along, I did some things a little bit differently. We used Lou in the 7th and Deeks 3 days in a row and shut it down. And, had a quick conversation with Liam earlier. He said he felt good, wanted to pitch. So, it was easier to just throw Sorry out there in the 8th. And I had him hold back for a little bit to see how Liam felt warming up. But as you saw, there were some 97s and 98s right away. So a lot of guys contributed today. This is a true team win.
Melissa Lockhart.
Can you talk about the emotions on the bench after Sean Murphy hit that home run, really kind of turned from a big deficit to a game again?
There were some really big hits, big everything in that game that swung it back because we're down early. Unfortunately, I had to take Mike out, which was really hard to do. Petit is a guy that's been so good in those situations, and that was probably the toughest decision of the day, was taking Mike out right there because it's no sure thing. Abreu's up the whole bit. But guys really responded. Murphy's homer. Now all of a sudden we feel like we're really back in the game. Pinder had an absolutely terrific game too, playing on a bad hammy. So you want your best and toughest players in there in games like that, and those guys showed up today.
Phil Barber.
Hey, Bob, I'm sure this wasn't the first thing on your mind after that victory, but for you personally, honestly, does this feel like a bit of a weight off your shoulders getting this series win?
Not necessarily. It's all about the team. It's all about the team and the players. There's no individual that has anything more to play for than anybody else. So, we all felt the 2 wild card games, actually the last 3 wild card games. Some of us been around for all that, can feel a little bit more so, but that's the one thing about our group. It's not about one person. It's about the team, and the players rule the day.
Janie McCauley.
Bob, you talked when the season, right before the series started, just on Pinder and how confident you were in his big bat, even after the injury. And I know you just addressed it a little bit, but him coming through like that today, just exactly what you envisioned before the series started.
Yeah, hard road. You don't get any at bats. You get 1 game's worth of a couple of bats not playing in the field, and all of a sudden you're thrust into the, playing a position and coming off the bench and doing all the things he normally does. It's not easy to do. And that's when I talk about your best and toughest players. He's one of those guys. So this similar to KD, these guys really rally around those type of guys. So it's not hard to really pull for those guys and have a lot of faith in them. But it wasn't easy to do because it was such a rush for him at the end to be able to play.
Shayna Rubin.
Your bullpen's been particularly strong for you throughout the year. What did you think about the work that they put in this marathon of a game, and including Montes?
Yeah, I mean, it's you kind of had a feeling that it was going to be a team win today, and it was even more so. You know, what did we use, 9 pitchers or something today, and including a starter, and Frankie was great. The only run he gave up was a ground ball, you know, that found a hole. So yeah, it took everybody today. The guys on the bench were really inspirational. You know, when we were down 3-0, they were having nothing to do with feeling sorry for themselves. They were really encouraging the hitters from, you know, every pitch of the game. So yeah, it was great.
Alex Coffey.
Hey, Bob. It seemed like defense played a pretty big role in this game. Can you just speak to the importance of that 6-4-3 double play in the 8th, and then Listell's catch in the 5th, the one that he kind of juggled there?
Olson's catch on the second out too. Yeah, I mean, that's our trademark, really. You know, we miss Matt Chapman, obviously. You know, he's a double platinum award winner, but you know, defense has really been our consistent strength in 3 years, and it showed up again today, as you would expect in a tight win like that.
Vince Cotroneo.
Bob, just the thoughts about Tommy La Stella and the impact he made for your club, and then you know, he did what he does. He created, got on base, great at bats, and had that great catch I was mentioned before. But what that kind of move meant for your club, and how it helped maybe change a little bit of the dynamic moving forward?
Yeah, it changed the dynamic of what we do. I mean, we haven't been the power hitting team here for the last month or whatever. And, you know, Tommy's been kind of the guy that everybody looks to and playing a little bit differently, getting on base a little more, putting the barrel on ball and getting on base and handing it off the next guy. And the biggest inning for us were all the walks. That was the biggest inning. So, you know, we've always been able to do that, but he, you know, his pickup was huge for us, and that he kind of led the way in making us a little bit of a different team. And, you know, obviously the catch he made, you know, on the bobble was huge for us too.
Tyler Kepner.
All right, yeah. Bob, you've taken a lot of different teams to the playoffs. What makes this one different, or maybe what makes this one especially dangerous as you go forward?
You know what? It's really a close-knit group that's been together for 3 years now, less a few additions, few subtractions. So it's a team that expects to win. You know, when we came into spring training this year, we expected to be in this spot. And that's part of the battle. It's not easy to do unless, you know, it's what comes first, the confidence or the success. And you have to have a little confidence to have a success. And that's what been built up the last couple of years and finally broke through this year to this point. So all the teams are a little bit different, but I really do like the teams that have been together a little bit and pull for each other so much. You can't put an analytic number on that. I mean, that's stuff that outplays that. So I think the thing that's most impressive about this team is how much they pull for each other.
And Killian.
Hi, Bob. Congratulations. You referenced the other day just how hard this season was, and kind of the realization in the last week that it was even harder than maybe you had thought it was going to be. Does that somehow make this even sweeter? Just that it's such a weird journey to get here?
Yeah, probably so. And you know what? I myself has been a little cranky this year, and I'm not normally like that. This is a year I've complained about certain things, and that's not me. So that's the end of that, as far as that goes. But it was hard. It's been hard for every team. We're not the only team that's been, you know, had to go through this and go through this journey to get here. But yes, does make it probably a little bit sweeter knowing that every day season's a little bit tougher than maybe past years.
We have time for 2 more. Melissa Lockhart.
You and Rick Renteria were engaged in a, you know, pretty intense back and forth from almost the start with the way you had to deal with your pitching staff. What kind of stress is that on you and your coaching staff when you're trying to have to make all those moves and track what they're doing and what you're doing at the same time?
You know what? It's not really that tough. We had to do a few more things today than normal, but you have faith in the players. When you have faith in the players, sometimes, you know, they feel that. And the coaching staff always has here. You know, even though we've had some injuries and we've had to do some things a little bit differently, you know, similar to the players as a group, the coaching staff has always really, really, you know, been there for the players. And I think they feel that. So, yeah, they made a lot of moves. We had to make a lot of moves. Both teams did. You know, the players ruled the day and won out in the end for us.
And we'll finish with Ron Kroichik.
One more Chad Pinder question. Did he need to show you anything Sunday? I mean, given that he hadn't played in 2 weeks, did he need to? What did he need to show you to get this kind of playing time?
Yeah, you know, actually more so leading up, we had the taxi squad so we could allow him to get a lot of at bats, and his bats were great. And it's not easy in a scenario where, you know, the batting cage is behind you and nobody's on base, and you know, to try to really put together good at bats. But he did in that environment. It's not easy to do. So, you know, once we saw how well he was swinging and the balance and so forth, it was an